1-0, Mike. 1-0. Could not say the same thing about the football team first game of the year. So good to start off with a dub, even if it is a Division II team. Mississippi College going down 100-58. Hot start for the Samford Bulldogs. Mike, how we doing?
Doing all right, man. My teams are 2-0 tonight against some pretty sorry teams, but we'll take it.
Some pretty sorry teams, but it's going to heat up really fast with Cornell on Friday. But first, one interesting little tidbit there at the end, they threw out some of the other scores around the SoCon, and it sounds like a lot of SoCon squads are putting up triple digits against some lesser competition. Mike, portal era, always nervous about what kind of team you're going to have. Overreaction. Give us your hottest take after watching Samford dismantle Mississippi College.
Yeah, Sam, if anything, portal era just gives you excitement for the first game of the season, regardless of who you're playing. I was so excited about today's game. I knew we were going to win, but I was so excited to see who we brought in. Yeah. And honestly, I was shocked at the results. It's one game, so we can't overreact. But if I had to overreact, I would say that our SEC transfers were a major disappointment. That's my overreaction. I thought Trey Fort and Isaiah West were
underwhelming.
Just underwhelming. Yeah, I kind of felt like they were out of place.
0 for 6 from 3.
0 for 6 from 3. That's
0 for 6 from 3. Not going to cut it, and Isaiah West only shot twice. So,
yeah. And even Julian Brown, who got the start. He's fourth or fifth year, I think, from Wagner. So I understand how he can get the start, being an older player. Scored a lot of points in his days at Wagner, but also a little bit underwhelming. 2 for 6 from 3, 3 for 8 total with 8 points. I felt like those three guards.
He played a little bit better. Trey Fort stood out the most. We were talking about it before, Mike, but Bucket was pretty quick to shift out his starting five. And I think you said that he didn't go back to it. So Lucas Walls and Holloway coming right in after a scoreless drought that started the game, I think the first 3 or 4 minutes. Bucky was not messing around. Offense picked up after that, but that's not too surprising. They know the system a little bit better. Played in front of that crowd a little bit more. Just a little more comfortable, I guess, in that specific environment. But just weird that the SEC transfers did not shine like we thought. But it is Mississippi College, first game of the season. Mike, who stood out? Who stood out?
Man, I think a crowd favorite has got to be Larry.
Larry.
I don't even know how you pronounce his actual name.
Ahmad Olayinka.
Yeah,
Olayinka.
Yeah. Man, 5 for 5 from the field, 15 points, 3 blocks.
3 blocks. 1 steal.
Rebounds. Yeah.
Incredible. He's definitely going to be a fan favorite. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they were already chanting Larry in the game.
Oh, I know. It's insane. And we were saying it off season, but he kind of seems like he could be the Achor replacement. And he definitely brought the energy that we would want to replace Achor.
Is it bad to say he's smoother than Achor? He's not as gangly? Did you get that feeling or no?
Yeah, no, I got that feeling, but I don't know that that's gonna translate to offensive production.
Yeah.
Maybe defensive. Maybe defensive.
Definitely not from 3. But
yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna matter because we got another big man who can shoot the 3.
Yeah, 24 points, 4 for 5 from 3. Jaden Brownwell, one of the last transfers that we got this offseason. Actually, both those guys, I think, were the last 2 transfers we brought in, Larry and Jaden Brownwell. Brownwell from, I think, Illinois, Chicago, 6'9". He was on fire tonight.
On fire. I mean, it seemed like every time Blake was calling somebody's name, it was his. And he's another big man. I mean, we have 3 legitimate big men, which, okay, granted, the overreaction of the night for me is we have 3 legitimate big men. Who's to say how Brownwell will do against better competition? But tonight, my goodness, the dude was unstoppable. 6 rebounds, 4 for 5 from 3, as you said. 1 steal. I mean, come on.
You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Easy comparison, but Logan Dye.
Oh, interesting. I like that.
Flush from the 3.
Even better
Big
shooter.
size, but flows well. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rylan Jones had a good night just leading the team. Didn't score a lot. We'll see. We talked about it in the preseason. I think Bucky even mentioned it. They might look to him to take on kind of a primary scoring role in some games, but tonight just getting warmed up, facilitating the offense, led the team in assists with 7. So good to see Rylan back out there. And kind of going back to Josh and Lucas, who immediately came in the game when the offense was sputtering. Josh going 4 for 4 and Lucas 4 for 6. So the athletic guards getting to the rim, neither one hit a 3. But when you're just trying to get a ball in the basket, 2 guys right there who came right off the bench and were able to give immediate offense, which is always good.
Yeah, I agree. Josh Holloway, both those guys, first players off the bench, and they just looked comfortable as soon as they came in. Awesome to see them make, at least initially in the first game, make that transition from freshman to sophomore year. And like you said, when the transfers maybe weren't really looking like they were flowing well in Bucky's offense, those 2 guys came in and like, hey, I know what to do. Mm-hmm. And Holloway scored right off the bat, first points of the season.
Yeah, so great things coming from them. If you're wondering where Grant is, I know we started off pretty hot. Grant was at the game. Grant will be at most of the games. He is in the press conference right now as we speak. So unfortunately, he couldn't be on tonight, but he'll be on going forward. Be sure to read the Samford Scoop, where he's going to be writing about, I think, every single game. The dude's a grinder. So anyway, back to the game, 100-58. The 3 guys standing out were 2 newbies and, well, I guess the 4 guys standing out, Josh, Lucas, and the 2 newbies.
We got to talk about Zion Wilburn.
Yes, true freshman.
He might have been actually the biggest surprise for me because
okay,
we didn't really expect him to play a lot being a true freshman.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he only had 4 points, 2 for 3 from the field, but
2 boards,
a plus minus of 15 points. Yeah, a couple boards, couple assists. Lanky guy. I mean, he's going to be an absolute stud in a couple of years. Maybe this year. I mean, he's going to carve out some serious playing time.
I agree. It was very surprising to see. It wasn't even like he was kind of that last squad for the last minute or 2. He came in, I want to say, in the first half. Which is not what we expected. Who else is standing out on here? I mean, that's basically it. I think one question we should ask. So it is a D2 team. We have Cornell, who we'll talk about in a minute. Cornell coming up. First game of the season, slow start. Defense looked not that good, not that tight. Offense looked very sluggish until we started finding our role. The blocks, I think, mask the deficiencies on defense because it got all the way to that point. The guards were not as disciplined as you'd like. The amount of 2-on-3 opportunities that Mississippi College was able to get, a little too many, or 3-on-2, excuse me. And that didn't last just for the first few minutes, like I thought was hoping, or thought might be the case. But actually, it looks like we have Grant. Looks like we have Grant on the court. Hold on.
Gentlemen, how we doing?
Hey.
What's up, dude?
What's going on? We're official. Oh, shoot. We're officially here.
Grant is courtside. This
Casual
is
drop by. I love it.
Thanks, Grant.
I just make this my home, really. We just got done with Bucky, Jaden, and Larry. Talked to those 3. So, yeah.
Amazing, dude.
Wow.
What did Larry have to say?
Larry getting press time after game 1. I love it.
game one, 13 points, provided a spark. They started a little bit slow. He came in, had that big block, caught a couple lobs. He was pretty excited. The crowd even started chanting his name, like Larry. The first bucket is like Larry, Larry, Larry. It's like, this is awesome.
It's awesome.
Like, yeah,
it's awesome.
And Jaden was like, I never played in front of a student section like this at all. So he was excited to get out there and actually play 20 points, 4 threes. So yeah, pretty good to see two new guys in the media room after.
Yeah, that's exactly who we were talking about, Grant. Just to catch you up a little bit, we mentioned Jaden and Larry right off the bat. We talked about Josh and Lucas coming off the bench to give the spark to the offense when we started off so slow. Talked about how Trey Fort and Isaiah West and Julian Brown were a little disappointing, especially Trey Fort going 0 for 6 from 3, not what you want to see. And the last guy we mentioned that's very exciting is Zion Wilburn, the true fresh, got some actual playing time, not just there at the end. So if you want to add anything, tell us about the environment. I mean, it looked like the student section was pretty good. I mean, we're playing a D2 team, so maybe not a lot of Homewood folks there, but
yeah, it was a solid crowd. I was here about 30 minutes before tip, and I looked up the student section with like 20 minutes on the clock, and I was like, are students actually going to show up? Like, it's a little bit slow, but obviously filing in late. And they did have – we're giving out replica SoCon championship rings after the game, so you had to stay through the whole game in order to get a ring with a voucher you got at the Dogs After Dark a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it was a good crowd, especially like you said against the Mississippi College team when you got UAB down the road playing Vermont. They lost, by the way. Alabama's at home tonight too. So yeah, you got
UAB lost to Vermont.
Yeah, UAB lost to Vermont.
Watch out for Vermont
by like 4. So yeah, the crowd was actually pretty solid, and yeah, Zion, it was pretty interesting. Like 2 minutes in the game, he comes in and is like, okay, early minutes for the freshman. Let's see how this goes. And he's a lot bigger than you think he is.
Interesting.
He's at least 6'5". He's listed like 180, 190, but still he's a big guy, and he's further along than AJ was when he was a freshman too. He's a little bit bigger, obviously. So yeah, it was good to see these young guys get in the game for sure.
Grant, give us your overreaction for the season based on this one game. Let's hear it.
One game. We will not shoot as well as we did last year. That could be a struggle.
That is pessimistic. I want a good overreaction, Grant.
You wanted I thought you wanted a bad overreaction.
It's not football. It's not football, Grant.
I gave a bad overreaction too, Grant. It's okay.
Yeah. There you go. Defensively, we're going to be a lot better. I think we should be just a little bit bigger out there, have some bigger guys, more guys.
We are bigger.
You have Lucas, who's grown into the year. He's playing like Bucky was telling us post-game. He played behind a couple of pros last year, and Jaden Campbell, Jermaine Marshall, just learning from those guys. And you could see him growing up a little bit this time around. So he'll play more minutes. You got Zion, too, play a little bit early at 6'5". You got some guys that are bigger. Isaiah West is 6'2", 6'3". Same with Trey Fort. You don't have little Dallas out there running around kind of using his kind of whatever thing he had out there playing defense. You have more size, which definitely helps you play better defense for sure, especially in this league.
All right, so we were talking about improvements. Mike, what is something that has to improve by at least Friday against Cornell? Who is smaller but who's much more athletic, going to play disciplined basketball, but they're not as necessarily they're not a supremely athletic team.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the 3-point shooting. We were 33% on the game. Let me see total numbers: 10 for 30.
10 for 30.
10. Jaden
However,
had 4 of those.
Jaden had 4 of those. But second half we were 6 for 12, so 50%. So 3-point shooting did improve in the second half. I think the sluggish start and the lack of 3-point shooting in the first half are two things that we cannot do against Cornell. If we can improve those efficiencies, I think our defense played good enough, especially full court defense. I think our half court defense was a little bit sluggish in the first half as well, but they kind of settled in, obviously, against a lesser opponent. So I would say overall just get to a better first half start.
Grant?
Yeah, same thing. You got to start a little bit better offensively. Cornell, they have been a good shooting team as of late. We'll see. Obviously, Portal changed that so much, but still, they're going to provide offensive spark. Samford has to start a little bit better, especially on the offensive end. But the defense will travel. You get that length out there. You have Larry come on the floor, bring a spark. He's become everybody's favorite player one game in. Like I said, chanting his name. So yeah, you have the defense to go up there. You just got to be able to knock down more shots. And we definitely probably won't see a guy like Trey Ford go 0 of 6 from 3, 1 of 8 from the floor. Isaiah missed a couple. Julian was firing from deep. He missed a couple too. It was really with Jaden who provided that spark offensively, pick and pop game with Riley down low. So yeah, you got to start a little bit faster offensively, especially going on the road with a long trip up to Cornell.
And that is the silver lining. If you wanted to have a slow start at the beginning of the season from kind of your big transfers, today's the day. Lets them kind of shake the cobwebs off. The one bummer about the trip to Cornell is how far away it is. I hope we're taking the plane. Otherwise, we might come off really cold, which would not be fantastic. So let's get into Cornell a little bit. As I said, they're not the biggest team. They got two guys who are 6'10". Most of their guys are hovering 6'9", 6'5". They had 4 double-digit scores this past game. They were playing Marywood, who I do not think is Division I either. They beat them 93-52. Jake Fleegan, who's a guard, scored 16 points. Cooper Nord, who's a guard, scored 12 points, and Josh Baldwin scored 10. Those were their leading scores. Big man A.K. Okiriki, 8 points, played 18 minutes. So those are kind of the names to watch. I don't know how they did last year. So, Grant, you said there was some turnover?
I just was saying that generally I haven't dove into them as much, but generally this day and age of college basketball. They were picked to finish, I want to say, third in the Ivy. So the Ivy is a solid basketball league. Princeton
it's good
in the tournament. Harvard with Tommy Amaker's. They got some good balls. So they got some good teams up there. So yeah, it should be a fun league, and it should be a good kind of atmosphere game for Samford going up there.
Yeah, first year head coach John Jacks. I think he's a graduate of Cornell. The fun stat for this one, guys, they have 18 consecutive non-conference wins. Time to break that streak, baby. Ooh. Time to break that streak.
All right.
So we head up there. That's a Friday game at, let's see what time it's scheduled.
5 Central.
Yeah, 6 Eastern, 5 Central. Yeah.
Nice. So we're like getting off the plane and rolling right over to the gym that day. Probably getting a little lunch in. Oh, I don't like that. 6 o'clock. Maybe depressed crowd. I mean, everybody's just getting off work at 5:30.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Okay. I don't like that. Anyway, that's all I have on Cornell. But Grant, were you able to talk to Bucky at all? What did he say about the game?
Yeah, we asked him about the front court and the guys with Jaden 20 points. He found a shot. He doesn't expect Samford to kind of shoot that kind of poorly, obviously, the rest of the year, but they were able to kind of pick it up defensively. There was a stretch there for like 5-6 minutes where Mississippi College couldn't even get it across half court. Like that's how sick they're playing defensively. So you have that coming in, and you have that stacked front court, like I mentioned, Jaden with Riley and Larry. And he did confirm to us that Caleb Harrison, the freshman from Huntsville, will redshirt this upcoming year. So we did get official word on that just because of the Samford's loaded front court. He can gain some experience and get some more time in the weight room.
If anyone else needed another sign of health of the program, that is it right there. Because it would have been wonderful if Riley could redshirt last season, just given his potential. And yes, in hindsight, it probably allowed him to develop much quicker, but it's just 1 year of eligibility now gone. Incredible, a kid like Caleb who has a lot of potential as well, but is a little on the scrawnier side. A true luxury to allow him to sit out, train up, put some weight on, and then be ready to roll next season. That's some interesting news, Grant. Hopefully, knock on wood, no injuries cause him to have to play. Because 3 guys while deep is not deep. So good chance he might see some playing time. Do y'all know the rules on redshirting in college basketball? I know in football you can play 4 games and it doesn't burn your red shirt. Any idea on basketball?
Red shirt's the same as the old days before the football went to 4 games. So if you play any time, you're
tough. That's
red shirt
tough, dude.
That's tough.
Less obviously with like medical red shirts and stuff we've seen with Rylan and whatnot. But yeah, if you get any time on the court, that burns your red shirt. You don't get any time like football where you can play a certain amount of games or whatever. So
that's crazy. Yeah. Dang, that's not what I was hoping to hear. Okay, whatever.
Kind of makes sense though. I mean,
yeah,
one player in basketball can impact a game a lot more than a football player, and yeah. We
Yeah,
do got to
until
talk about Riley though.
until they
Riley
become
Ball.
employees. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Let's talk about him.
Well, I just said we didn't mention him. We mentioned I think every other player except for him. But shout out to him for being pretty consistent in his
Yeah, he
18
played
minutes.
well.
I think that he played. So just want to make sure we don't forget about him because he played a good game.
No, he did. I was hoping he was going to drain that first three he took, picking up
Yeah, I
right
know.
where he left off against Kansas. But
Yeah. Same spot
Not
too,
to
the
be.
top of the key
Not
up
to be.
there.
yeah.
yeah. Same thing. I had my phone out waiting to record a video. Sanford's first bucket belongs to whoever, and had to wait an extra 2.5, 3 minutes for
Belonged
Josh
to Josh.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
that
slow.
layup. Yeah. That was. If I had to guess, he would not have been the guy to be my first scorer of the season. But
Yeah, that may be another
that works out.
overreaction. In the preview, we were talking about potentially Josh and Lucas carving their way into a starting role. I think we even threw Larry's name out there into a starting role as the season progressed. And that might be a whole lot sooner for Josh and Larry than we thought. We'll see. It doesn't. Brownwell's really trying hard too. Riley, I think, will always be out there. But could you imagine Riley and Larry? That's a pretty dynamic duo for the 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
Brownwell and either one of them. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, to have the students chant your name in your first ever game is pretty sick for Larry. He had that big block and the big couple lobs. They started chanting Larry. I was like, let's go. This comes everybody's new favorite player.
Guys, this is the first day of college basketball, right? The SoCon is putting up triple digits all over the place, but my goodness, if Samford and Buckyball have 3 legitimate big men, watch out. Because we know the guards are going to come through.
Yeah.
We know the guards are going to come
all
through.
the guards, yeah.
The athleticism there.
Oof.
The shots just got to fall. Oof.
We got to temper our expectations. Let's not hope
so
for a Cornell loss, but it wouldn't be the worst thing.
After today's game, are you more or less hype about this season?
Way more hype. Larry's on the scene, baby. Brownwell's on the scene. Shoot. We didn't know who those guys were.
Yeah.
Especially Brownwell.
Yeah.
He was making everything. Yeah,
the 2 last additions to the class, right, Grant? I mean, those are the 2 last guys that transferred in.
Yeah, Brunell, they reached out after the guy who went to Kansas State left, and then Larry was kind of over the summer, yeah.
Grant, what were the coaches' vibes? I mean, just a little buttoned up, a little, first game, D2, we're going to show a lot. What were the bench vibes?
I think it was like any kind of normal game. They brought the same energy. Samford has 65 guys over there on the bench. They don't even have enough seats for everybody. They have them wrapped around because there's so many guys over there. But yeah, the staff is basically the same vibe, getting in, have different guys barking out different orders, and they are a really good collaborative group. Like Bucky will go over and talk to some guys while Dave Good, who's on staff as director of player development, he would go over and bark some orders, and some other guys you get up, and then Mitch Cole would bark some other orders. So they do have a good continuity between them. They've obviously worked together, the same staff for the last few years. So yeah, they've got a good continuity. I think they work really well together with everybody's strengths.
Guys, we haven't even talked about what they disclosed on the broadcast, our tracking technology on the court.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Did anybody talk about that, Grant, or do we got to dig in a little bit on how exactly we're utilizing that?
I'll talk to my source who may or may not have been on the TV side, and we'll see what kind of. It may or may not look very similar to me, but I'll check in and see what they're working with that. So.
Don't flatter yourself, Grant. He's the one on television.
That's fair.
So
yeah, I'm just on YouTube. Yeah, I'm just on YouTube. Yeah.
Because that would be interesting. I mean, because I know that when
good job,
Project Samson was released, our football team skyrocketed.
Hey, Brian, right? Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah.
I always see your stuff online.
I appreciate it. Thanks for following along. Sorry, I'm on the – yeah. We're good. Riley's dad. Yeah.
Oh, what's up?
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah. Oh, good. I'll see you around. Yeah, thanks. Good job, Riley.
I love this, Grant. Organic.
He's always liking our posts.
I'm just meeting my fans.
Yeah, everybody's watching YouTube nowadays. Nobody's on cable anyways.
Yeah, shout out to the Onsbox, yeah.
Grant is killing me tonight. Grant, when you came on, your energy was certainly excited. It seems like you were feeling jazzed about the season.
Jazzed about the season, and then following the Chiefs game at the same time is not a good
Oh my
recipe for my
goodness.
heart right now.
Okay.
But
Well, I guess they're losing.
They are losing.
yeah, they're down 7. They're driving right now. Last I checked, but yeah, they're down 17-10 right now.
Wow, shocking. Baker going. Is it at Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Let's go, Bake. Okay, anyway. Any other comments on first game of the basketball season or Cornell before we hit a brief overview of State of the Bulldogs, which includes our football team, who's been subjugated to that section of the show. Yeah, we laugh, but I mean, they deserve it.
No, I think we covered it. Just Samford's depth. They had a lot of guys, obviously, last year. Guys that have played together. It's going to take, obviously, these guys. You got 9, 10 new guys in this roster, a little bit longer. But you do have more depth, more guards, especially with the front court we talked about. So it'll be fun to watch them kind of gel and grow because the last year's group obviously played a lot of basketball together. So they were able to jump right in and get on it. So it will be interesting to see how they kind of gel with this new group. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch going forward.
Cool. Well, Grant, we will remove you from the screen, but don't log out. I have no idea how any of that works.
Okay.
But we will remove you.
Okay.
But dude, thanks for hopping on. That was a fun. I mean, everybody on YouTube, go if you weren't, you need to go check it out because Grant's just chilling at the stadium.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be here. I'm just gonna be here courtside listening to y'all. Yeah, thanks.
He thinks he owns the place, Mike. He thinks he owns the place. Unbelievable. But yeah, real briefly. So we had a recap show on the Wofford game. Bitterly disappointing to lose to Wofford and Citadel in back-to-back weeks. Tennessee Tech is not good. I think they've won 4 games this season, but if we play like we did against Citadel, we will lose. They're not a terrible team. They're not just complete dog water. So that would not be fun for back-to-back losses. Mike, I know you weren't on that show, but if you have any, would love to hear any feelings, comments, anything on the football team.
As I yawn while you ask that question.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam, no comments.
Is it possible for a coach to take a team the furthest it's ever been and then get fired 2 seasons later?
Yeah,
is that even
all the time?
But it's Samford.
Okay, yeah, no, it's Samford. But you gotta put it. You gotta aggregate. The last 5-6 seasons, and we have one good season there.
Yeah, that's
right.
I think that's
the thing, and it's not just one. It's one really good season, and now 3 or 4 really bad seasons. So
you can't lose homecoming. That's when everybody's there. You can't lose.
You can't play a real game on homecoming. That's the problem.
Wofford is not a real game. We'd won 9 straight years. When
you got hatch attack, you're an offensive team. You're supposed to be putting up
selling those hats,
40 points a game, 50 points a game, and you score 13 points.
Gaslighting us about the defense, bringing in a new coordinator, saying this is going to make our team even better, and then we just go cold on the offensive side of the ball. Defense is as good as advertised. We knew we were going to improve. We're not elite by any measure, but we're good. We have a good defense. Terrible secondary. But I would say front 7, top 3 in the SoCon. Easy. So, yeah. That's football, not where we want it. Anyway, women's soccer. We are in the SoCon championship. The women have been skirting by, but it doesn't matter. They're in the finals against Western Carolina, which will be held on Sunday afternoon, most likely. A win against UNCG on Friday, 2-1, and then a Furman dub, 84th minute. Great goal, snuck it right by the keeper on the opposite side. 1-0. Beat the Paladins.
It's a rematch, right? We lost to Western in the final last year. Is that right?
Yep. We lost to Western last year in the final, so rematch there. Volleyball broke the losing streak by sweeping Western Carolina, but then dropped 2-3 to ETSU on Friday. We finished the last 4 games or matches of the season. We traveled to Furman on Friday and then hop right back on the bus to go to Mercer on Saturday. So not a very fun trip right there. the same thing happened this past week where we were at Western on Thursday and then immediately at ETSU the next day. If you space it out a little bit, we probably beat ETSU. But the women were probably tired, I'm going to guess. I would be. So watch for a Furman dub and maybe a Mercer loss. The last time we dominated them, but we also swept ETSU the last time too. So attrition might be settling in, and then finishing off the season in the following week against UNCG and the Citadel. We'll give you a little bit more of an overview of the volleyball SoCon tournament once the rankings shake out or the standings shake out. And then I guess the last bit of news, cross country had 7. They had 7 all SoCon runners, including freshman of the year, Felicity Hamilton. So on the first team, we got Adeline. Okay, I'm about to go through these names. Most of them are straightforward. This last name is not. Adeline Hash, Sinkanesh Parker, Katie Keller, Edie Smith. Katie and Edie are all SoCon second team, and then on the men's, all SoCon freshman team, 2 dudes, Stephen Jones and Arthur Langley. Future's bright. 2 men on the all SoCon freshmen. Yeah, so 7 runners honored there. Soccer in the SoCon tournament championship and volleyball wrapping up. Please, football, get a win. My goodness. And maybe we can play spoiler. Mercer is in the driver's seat for the SoCon championship at this point in football, but Western's still kind of lurking. UTC seems to be out of it. We'll see. We could definitely put a nail in that coffin with a nice dub over the Mocs, but who knows? Our football team is Jekyll and Hyde. Start over. Mike, I'll leave you with the last word.
Yeah, at the time this podcast comes out, the game will have already happened, but Samford's women's basketball team will have played the Lady Vols. My Lady Vols, Tuesday night, November 5th at 5:30 Central, I believe. So check the box score, see how that game goes. Lady Vols have a new head coach, and they say she's kind of the Bucky Ball of women's basketball. That's what I'm hearing. So
interesting.
They play fast. They shoot a lot of threes.
What a brutal way to open the season at Tennessee.
Right?
Oh,
yeah. But could play spoiler to this new head coaching regime in Knoxville.
The women's are going to need to have a good season, and we might have a president tomorrow night. We'll see.
I doubt it.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, with that, State of the Bulldogs is out. Basketball season is finally underway. Football team, please win. All right, everybody have a good week.